is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing, because it's not politically correct. I know how it should have happened. In a bath, dead grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal society. It isn't real. Pussies unite. I know all of it. Like, if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and donuts, spending our days lying on our backs, thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture, did we? No. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend that there was something else in between my legs. I imagined furniture, cozy futons with light cotton comforters, or pretty things like silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders. I got so accustomed to this, I lost all memory of even having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him in a milk-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I ever met. Thin, tall, nondescript, he wore khaki tank clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prodigy. He did not have an interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent time in the shade. Bob didn't share his inner feelings. He didn't have any problems or issues. He wasn't even an alcoholic. Bob wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't handed me back my change that I dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me back my pennies and quarters, and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. And that's when the miracle occurred. It turned out that Bob loved vaginas. He loved the way they tasted, he loved the way they smelled, but most importantly, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. First time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. "I'm right here, Bob." "No," he said, "I need to see you." "Well, turn on the light," I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light. "Okay," he said, "I'm ready to see you." "But I'm right here, Bob, right here." Bob started to undress me. "What are you doing, Bob?" "I need to see what you look like." "But I know you've seen a red leather couch before, Bob. I know you've seen that." Bob continued. He wouldn't stop. I wanted to throw up and die. "This is awfully intimate, Bob. Can't you just do it?" "No," he said. "It's who you are. I need to see what you look like." He looked and looked and gasped and smiled, and his face changed. Bob did no longer look ordinary. He looked like a hungry beast. "You're so beautiful," he said, "and innocent, and wild, and elegant, and deep. You saw that there, that, and much, much more." He stayed looking for almost an hour, as if he were studying a map, gazing at the moon, looking into my eyes, but it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him look at me. He was so excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself in the way that he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. No, he wasn't grossed out. I began to swell. I began to feel proud. I began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there. And I was there with him. And we were gone.